MCQ 5 is a common enzyme question. Taking a look at the x-axis, we're looking at temperature. So temperature actually presents a few points itself that can be used to describe an enzymatic reaction. The point in orange here can be used to represent an enzyme that's otherwise considered to be inactivated. So it doesn't have that much heat. So the amount of enzyme substrate product enzyme substrate complex that we can actually form is much lesser, and therefore the rate of enzyme activity is rather low. So the pink color segment here that sees the rate of enzymatic activity increase, we can say that this is due to an increment in the amount of heat, and from that the heat is converted to a higher amount of kinetic energy, and this increases the enzyme substrate complex formation, and this causes the rate of your enzyme activity to increase. Now at the peak of it that's represented in blue, we'll say that at this juncture the enzyme actually has the most optimum activity because it is at its most optimum temperature. But it becomes a slippery slope downwards in the red color segment. This portion here, the enzymes experience denaturation. Now denaturation in structured question is quite a common one, so we want to be able to describe this in a systematic manner. Now at the first portion here, we'll talk about what is the item here that started the denaturation. So we have either proton. This could be used to describe when conditions are too acidic. We could also use hydroxide to describe conditions that are too basic, or in this case here, we can use heat to describe an excess of heat that is way above its optimum temperature. So any of these excess conditions will modify the enzyme specific 3D conformation. And the modification of the enzyme specific 3D conformation will then lead to the change in active site shape. And subsequently, that means that substrate is no longer complementary to active site. So we will see the drastic drop in the formation of our enzyme substrate complex. And this will cause the enzyme rate of reaction to plummet drastically. Again, depending on the kind of conditions that cause the denaturation, for the case of heat, it's considered to be an irreversible change. But for pH, things that are acidic as well as alkaline, it really depends on it. If let's say the change is considered to be mild, I would say that it's considered to be reversible. But on the other case here, if the pH change really deviates from the optimum pH greatly, then I would say that the change is considered to be irreversible. So looking at this case here, we're looking for over 40 degrees Celsius what actually happened. Now the activation energy of the enzyme does not decrease. The activation energy of the reaction increases is considered to be plausible because enzyme main job here is really to decrease the activation energy of a reaction, and if the enzyme is denatured, that particular discount will be missing. In part C here, the active site of the enzyme changes shape. This has been mentioned largely in point number 3, and the active site of the substrate changes shape. So by logic itself, substrate does not have an active site, so option D will be out. So contesting between B as well as C, because the question asks specifically with respect to enzyme and or substrate, we are more likely to go with option C as the answer because it does direct the effect of enzyme denaturation to account for the drop in your rate of activity of the enzyme. The option for MCQ 5 is C.